Well, if you're familiar with hatchets, you know the Fiskars X7, because this little compact hatchet made in Finland is legendary for its capability, performance, and value. But it's never been the prettiest hatchet on the market and definitely has an industrial, 21st century vibe. Well, that is the case no longer with the introduction of the Norden series and the N7, giving us the head that we know performs really well, but giving us upgraded leather scabbard, hickory handle integrated into that fiber composite neck, and giving us this profile that matches that stamp of quality since 1649. And so we're gonna have a blast today as we take a look at not only composite, but natural, and see which one is better suited for you and me, regardless if you are the casual outdoorsman or an outdoor professional. So folks, let's go ahead and get after it. And before we jump into any other aspect, I mean, most of us want to know about this handle, right? I wanted to know. I was like, how is this working? How are they taking their fiber composite handle that we know from the X7 that is all one piece that wraps around the head, it's hollowed out, this having something a little bit different. So you still get that same fiber composite, polymer that if you look it up on Google search, I mean, just take a look at some videos, you'll see that's basically indestructible. That is wrapped around the head. It goes down a third of the way, and then there is this way that they have bonded this natural hickory handle into the fiber composite. So there, it has been molded into the handle. Now, I don't have an x-ray, so I can't tell you exactly how that all goes together, but basically what they're giving you is kind of the protection around the neck if you were to overstrike that we know with that synthetic polymer that's very dense, very capable, but then giving you that warm, natural feel on that hickory handle down 2/3 of the way with a lanyard hole and a nice kick out and flare. Now guys, I've beat on this for over 4 months now, taking it out regularly every time I go out on a trek, as well as splitting kindling for the backyard and for the fireplace and bonfires. And I have not seen any loosening, any issues, and I do like the fact that it does give me this little kind of protection of an overstrike. Now, years and years, possibly decades, will determine whether or not this will hold up compared to either just a full wooden handle into a head or the full composite that we know from the Fiskars X7. Now, I know there are many of you that are the professional outdoorsmen that want the capability of hanging your head back onto a handle in an emergency situation. You break the head off, or something happens, it loosens up to the point where it's not working and operating properly, and you can then do that on the natural, drop force head, put onto a handle. So that is something that you'll have to consider. I think for many of us who are just the average outdoorsman, we like to go camping with our family, we do a day hike here and there, and we're having fun. This, I think, absolutely gives us all of the durability that we've seen in years past, but giving us a more natural, upgraded, not only texture and feel, but look to a super well-known design in the X7. And ultimately, it'll be up to you, the user, to determine whether or not a full wooden handle makes more sense to you, a full composite, or if you feel confident in the conjunction of the fiber composite and the hickory wood. For me, myself, having seen and used it and thumped on it just as hard as my X7, I haven't seen any issues, and so I would put it on par with my X7 in capability and durability. And I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this idea. Do you really like it? Do you love it? Are you a little leery of it? I always love hearing the comments and hearing from you guys what not only your experience is, but what you look for in your hatchets. Now, as we move a little further down the neck over to the handle, what you will notice is just a very well contoured, feels amazing, really good in the hand, and has a really good flare out. It does have that lanyard hole, but I have not found a need to put a lanyard on here, just like I haven't found a need with my X7. Now, because it's not hollowed out like its sibling, this guy is gonna come in at about 3 ounces heavier, at about 26.5 ounces with the little leather scabbard. And though the N7 is still a head-heavy hatchet, it feels a little bit more balanced throughout the entire design, whereas on the Fiskars X7, it definitely is head-heavy. You can feel the difference in balance. So this will have a slightly more center of gravity balance to the N7 than what you experience on the X7, just because of that hollowed out lighter handle. Now on to the head and just the overall performance. If you've never used a Fiskars X7 or an N7, you're missing out. The V shape of the design gives it, not only for such a small one-handed hatchet, the ability to split wood very well. This is a great splitting hatchet. Why are you the way that you are? Pills, baby! Ready?
Yep.
If that's something that you expect out of your tools, but it does have still the ability to do finer woodwork very easily, finer shaping of wood and those type of activities that sometimes you have to pick on a trade-off, either get more of like a shaping hatchet that's just gonna shape wood and do more light chopping, or you gotta go with kind of a heavier splitting axe. This kind of has a balance of doing both well. Now, as I said a little earlier, made in Finland. They've been making this type of hatchet for years. We could argue probably a very similar way of doing it since the 1600s, basically. And what we get is a double heat treat is what they do. They do different temperings and things like that, bringing it to about a Rockwell of 55 is my understanding off of the things that I've seen and things that I've looked into. Now, it comes out of the box with a standard V grind, not a convex or anything like that. And mine came razor sharp out of the box, and that is very good for very precision cutting. But what I have found is that the heat treat overall and the way that they temper it, it holds its edge in that V-grind design okay. I've definitely had different types of tools that can hold its edge longer, of similar price, similar shape. Just to show you here, I have not resharpened this since owning it. It's about time to do so. And you can see that there's definitely some rolls, some burrs, and most of those occurred within the first day of use. Now, what I find works best for a Fiskars, regardless if it's the X7, the N7, and the X11, doesn't matter the model. I like to put a slight convex edge on it with one of my belt sharpeners. When I do that, it holds its edge much longer than in the standard V shape, coming to that very precise tip that comes standard out of the box. So that might be something if you wish you would have a little bit of a longer edge retention before you start to see the rolling on the edge. That is something you can do with any Fiskars. And if you just put a little, do you say Fiskars or Fiskars? I don't know. Fiskars, Fiskars. You're gonna probably hear it back and forth throughout this entire video. Maybe one of you guys can tell me. But if you just round that off ever so slightly, making it into a convex edge, it will hold its edge at least twice as long from my experience. So that is something that I would just recommend to you. A little pro tip. You can still do very fine work with it. It's not as precise as when it has that standard V grind, but I prefer the edge retention and lack of rolling that occurs when I put a convex on my N or X7s. And on every other aspect, I just love using this tool. I love giving it to friends and family to use. It's very, very capable, not only, again, in all that splitting that you may want to do, but delimbing to get, fuel for a fire, being able to sculpt, being able to even feather stick if that's something you want to do as a backup in case your tool is being used, your knife is being used by somebody else, or it's lost, damaged, whatever the issue may be. You can still do that with these, and it feels very comfortable and well balanced for this style of one-handed hatchet. And I really do believe, regardless if you're a skilled outdoorsman and you're very familiar and confident with a hatchet, or maybe you're very new to the outdoors and you're just trying to learn and trying to figure out how to even use this tool, I think it's a very formidable, very capable instrument in either a rookie or in a veteran's hands. Now, I'm sure most of us are familiar with the polymer scabbard that comes on the X7. It's very functional, keeps the blade from touching anything and cutting anything. There's a good grab handle and a good, really solid locking mechanism to keep it in place, but that is also very easy to disengage and then use the tool. I've never really had a complaint with it, particularly for the price, but like the hatchet itself, it's not very aesthetically pleasing. Well, the N7 has an upgrade. It has a recycled leather scabbard. I love it, it's beautiful. I like the kind of like charcoal gray that it has. You've got not only rivets, but double stitching all the way through to really cover and protect that. And then you do have that really nice neck over to a very strong button, and then it's very easy to remove. So I have zero complaints with that. Just note, put this in your pocket. One time recently we threw it on the ground as we were using it. It took us about 10 minutes to find it because it does blend in very easily with the surrounding environment. Now, the old polymer will obviously fit perfectly on the N7, and I have seen some images with this just with a blacked out tab, not an orange tab. So if you want one or the other, there may be options available, and just kind of dig in a little bit, make sure what sheath you are picking up with whatever N7 or the N series, the Norden series you may be looking at. So up till now, I think that the N7 is an awesome upgrade, giving you so much performance like what we know from its original brother, the X7, but giving it to us in a very stylish package that has definitely an old world, natural feel to it. And I love every aspect to that. But now we got to kind of pump the brakes a little bit and talk reality, pricing. The X7 runs for about $28 on Amazon when I am making this video. And when I bought this 7 years ago, I believe I paid $22 or $23 for it. So under the $30 price point, you can get a hatchet that for me has performed for almost a decade now and has no signs of stopping. And I mean, that is really mind-boggling when you think about it and what it's capable of. It's prepared so many campfires, delimbed so many trees over the years, and it's not only showed itself capable, but earned that 30 bucks back to me 10 times over. So when I saw the N7, I was thinking, well, it's definitely, you know, an upgrade, and you got these natural materials and there's new technology they're doing with the composite meeting up with the hickory handle. So what, maybe like double 60 bucks sounds about right to me. As of right now, it's still running mostly at MSRP, which is $89.99 for this hatchet. Basically 90 bucks, and that's everywhere that I see it, including on Amazon, is what this guy is going for. And I know for many of you, you're gonna go, I love my X7, I just want the natural feel and vibe that the N7 offers, so it makes total sense. And for many of you, this is going to be something that you're gonna now put in rotation and replace your X7, because you love what it can do, but you want some of the natural aspects that this offers. But when we talk purely performance to value, it's very difficult to see where the $90 can really make sense for a lot of people, particularly if you're on a budget. And this is competing with very big, well-known, full-handled, and I would argue better edge retention drop forged heads from brands like Wettlings, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Hultaforce, and many other brands that are right around about the $100 price point. You can get a very similar size, like 13-inch handled axe, and I would argue has a lot of capability. So it is difficult to see where the value to performance comes in when you look at it compared to the X7 as well as what else is on the market. Now, hopefully as time goes on, this would drop more into like the $75 range. I could see that happening. So that's something that each person will have to determine for themselves individually. And I think that if you like an X7, but you just want the upgrade like what you're seeing here, I think it's absolutely awesome, and it will, in my opinion, last a lifetime. But you really got to look at it like a vehicle. You know, there's the standard basic model, like the X7, right? It's got the drivetrain, it's got the transmission, the motor, but you know, it doesn't have all the bells and whistles. It's just got a generic look to it. We got a lot of plastics on it, got cloth seats and a polymer, you know, type of synthetic steering wheel. And that's gonna hit like the $30,000 range. Or you can get the blacked out midnight edition, you know, with carbon fiber handle and leather trim seats, and has all of the little bells and whistles and deleted badges all over the place, making it a sleek, good looking vehicle, but the motor's still the same and the transmission's still the same. And for many people, most people, they want the blacked out, deleted, you know, badge version and model, and if they can afford it, they go with it. So I mean, for many of you, I think if you can afford it, you're gonna wanna go with this. But for many people, if you just need the hatchet, that's where the X7 still reigns in many areas, and particularly when you talk about value to performance. And guys, throughout this video, I will have for you below in the description box links to many different distributors where you can take a look at the Fiskars X series and their different sizes, as well as the N series and their different sizes, so you guys can determine if this is the right tool and which one is better suited for you. So we do appreciate it. If either of these designs and models are connecting with you, check out those hyperlinks that are offered below. And so I do appreciate Fiskars being willing to send this over to me so I could test it out, use it, review it, and give you guys my feedback and data on it so you can make a wise choice. For me, because I have it, I'm definitely gonna be taking it out over my X7. The X7 will stay in the tub and, you know, be used and beat on for years and years to come. But when I go out on a trek and I want to use a hatchet in this design, this is the one that I will gravitate to more. And so the performance and aesthetics are absolutely there. And I want to hear from you guys. What's your feeling on the Norden series and this N7 versus the X7 versus what we've talked about today, and what's maybe your experience if you already own one? I always love seeing the comments that you guys have, and any questions that you have, I'll do my best to answer for you guys in the comment section below. So thank you so much for coming over today. I hope this video has been fun and entertaining, but also informative, giving you guys data on the N7 and what to expect out of it. And until next time, I invite you to check out the other video popping up. I invite you to subscribe. We're always throwing up new content like this all the time, as well as check us out on all the social media so you can see up and coming videos and content and different things that we're doing. Sometimes we do giveaways over on social media as well that you don't always see here. And guys, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and we'll see you out there.